Welcome to Keep It Humane, the podcast, where we dive deep into topics surrounding kindness, compassion, and creating a more humane world, whether it's in our communities, in the workplace, or in the world of animal control and shelters. With our hosts,
Ashley Bishop.
And Ashley Bishop.
and I'm Daniel Ettinger. This show is sponsored by Tomahawk Live Trap. Check them out, livetrap.com. Welcome back. Another episode with me in Texas Bishop. Wisconsin Bishop she's picking apples today. She's got her apple box and she is making sure those apples end up on your grocery store's aisle so you can have some apple pie, apple cider, apple fritters. How are you doing, Texas Bishop?
Good. Just tired.
Hmm.
It's fiscal year, the starting for some of us, maybe all of us, I don't know, most of us who are in government. So just trying to get on board with buying all the things since we're now rich.
I'm rich.
I
Never mind.
know it.
I
It's
can't
it's
do
like
that.
it's like Christmas around this time of year. Um, this year we just are really needing to kind of just like the mundane supplies that you don't really buy every year. But also too, which newsflash, I haven't even told Dan this. I found out on Friday that our contract has been approved and we are going for our new facility,
Let's go.
folks.
Congratulations. That's exciting. I can't,
Yeah.
I don't know if and when you can share blueprints, but that'd be cool.
Oh man, I don't know, but even then, like I'm excited. I found out we were out at a conference on Friday, me and my assistant supervisor, and my boss just randomly called and was asking about some stuff, and he was like, "Just hey, guess what?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!" So I'm excited about that.
Make sure
Um,
one of the things that I've learned from hearing about people that move into new shelters and stuff, make sure you take a few things from the old shelter for like memories.
we are
Whether,
gonna gut our whole
yeah.
facility.
Okay, good.
Like we are taking everything that we possibly can that is still in good shape, to be honest. Um, you know, our assistant supervisor, who has been with the city, she'll be going on 19 years in February. So hopefully by the time we move in, she'll hit her 20. So I'm really excited for her to get to experience all of this because she has seen the entire department go through, you know, its fluctuation
Hmm.
of everything from when it was the Humane Society and then when the city took over. So honestly, I am just more excited for her to be able to get this experience because she has, not only is she a pivotal person in our department with her expertise and everything like that, but I'm so happy that we get to have her in this experience.
You know, that history that she has and like ability to transfer that into a new place is so important because there's a lot like it's gonna feel weird for the first few probably weeks or so just being in there and I think um having your people that have that institutional knowledge like that it's really really helpful.
It
So
is. I'm really nervous. Like I'm really nervous. Like I feel like I'm gonna be starting a whole new job with all of this. Um,
you got
you
to
know?
decorate your office again.
Well, no, it's like it's not even it's beyond that. It's like
I
having
know.
to relearn your daily routines. You know what
Mm.
I mean? And I'm trying my best to ensure that our staff understands that things are going to be different, things are going to change. Some people, sometimes a lot of people don't like change, and I'm trying to get them amped for that before we get there, so it's not just this huge cluster. Because things are going to change, things are going to be different. We're going to have a lot more footprint. And we're not going to have, the amount of staff that we need right off the bat. So it's gonna be a change, but we're like super excited and man, I'm thrilled because it's been a hot minute that since we've gotten an update and I'm just excited. I'm so
That's really
excited.
exciting. Well, congrats on that. I think, having that in the future here, it'll feel like forever, but then it'll be here before you know it. Isn't that
Oh, I
wild?
know
It's
it.
wild.
How are you?
Speaking of spending money, you could spend it at Tomahawk Live Trap because they're celebrating their 100th year in 2025. And they're a family-owned operated business, and you can, save 10% on your order by using discount code Keep It Humane. That's Keep It Humane in all caps. Check them out, livetrap.com or 800-272-8727. Me? How am I? I wish I could be more honest in a public setting. I think that there's so many like eyes on you the more that you become controversial in your world. And so for me, talking the way that I talk openly about, terminology, it's not about organizations, period. I think actually some organizations, well, I'll just say the name. I think Best Friends does a lot of good. I really do. But I don't agree with their terminology. Uh, but being in a position that I'm in professionally and then having this public platform definitely, I guess, just exposes you to more risk, if that makes sense. So, like, I can't speak freely anymore in the world where I would normally, I guess, if I wasn't, how about this? If I wasn't in this industry at all, I could probably speak more freely, if that makes sense. But like now, I just kind of, I'm learning to have my opinions and have trusted circles where I can talk to about certain things. Because what's the point? Like, I guess that's where I'm at. Like, okay, so I don't agree with the terminology no kill, but what's the point of expressing that? Like, I'm not going to change an organization like Best Friends. And that's not my job. Like, that's not my goal either. I think it's just to raise awareness. But, like, what's the point? I guess is my question.
I mean, there's a point, I think there's a point. I think the biggest thing that I've learned, at least as somebody who got moved into a supervisor position, is emotional intelligence is so important, especially in our field. And what I kudos my direct supervisor and the supervisor above him, who also oversees us, who is high up in city um, command, I guess I could say, is that emotional intelligence is so important. And for us to see outside of our box is really important, because all these years I've really tended to just put my blinders on and say, like, this is how it is, this is how it's always been, this is how we're going to do things. um so I think it's important to make sure that we realize that there's new ways of doing things and that there's a time and a place.
Yeah.
And I think for you, Dan, I think you just realize that there's a time and a place, and right now is not the time and the place. And, maybe down the line there will be, but I don't think, I think you saying that you are controversial, I think is way too harsh. I just think, I think that, some of us have been in this industry long enough to see things outside of our control hurt how we're trying to move forward. And I think you're passionate about that. And I just think um, some people just don't like to hear that out loud.
Well, and I appreciate that. And you're right about the emotional intelligence. And I truly feel like I have a lot of room to continue to grow, but I feel I have matured a lot in my professional and personal life over the past decade for sure. I try to lead with emotional intelligence in my job, which I love it. Like I'm grateful every day that I get to come to work to a place that I truly love. And like any job, we have our ups and downs. I just, I feel like I have great support there and an opportunity to continue to help grow a department that is an awesome department and does such a great service in the community. Then I try to balance like that piece of being that steward, if you will, to then like this piece, which is now, I'm not obviously representing the place that I work for. This is something that I've done on my own for the past 6 years. And I've always found a good balance to keep the work away from here. What I've noticed though is because I tend to be, I guess, not shy from certain things, whether it's current industry trends or maybe certain things in the news where we've covered how police officers operated on scene or in animal control or shelters, etc. And then I think that that can somehow reflect back, and it shouldn't, in my opinion, reflect back to the work that I do, that I'm paid to do. Two separate things, and I always try to keep that mentality, like, there, that is a balance, a tactful balance and approach of like keeping those two things separate. But also, I'm not gonna I don't think anyone's ever heard me say something that would be like extremely like what's the word? Disrespectful or you know, something that would hurt. I guess that's the thing. And so it's a tough place to be in because I love this platform. I love the opportunity that we get every week to sit down and chat and bring on some amazing guests and talk about current trends. And because the goal has been and will always be to help change the image of the dog pound and the dog catcher. Like that's always been my why in that aspect on the show, like why I do the show. And so having that platform to do so is what motivates me. But it's tough. What did Biggie say? Biggie, what did Biggie? You remember Biggie, Notorious Big?
I know who Biggie is, Dan.
Well, some people don't know. You're young, bro. I don't.
Okay. I'm not that young, okay? My older sister was born in the 80s. Come on.
So he said, "Mo money.
More problems.
Let's go. Let's go." So, but
Well, and I'll segue a little bit is just, it's what I think you do for the industry, Dan, is open up a conversation. And I think it's important that we have people like that, whether they're on your side or you're not. I mean, it's really important because I feel like our industry in itself is kind of stuck in this place because we don't have open conversations and we don't have conversations realizing that we all can't do things the same because our communities are not the same. And I think that's where, our industry kind of has a hiccup in that aspect of things is because we are not open to conversation. And I think you are a conversationalist. And I think that you have helped us open those points, even if they're uncomfortable, even if it's something that we all don't really want to talk about. Because again, our industry is also I still think our industry is trying not to show the ugly when it's really important that we do because if we don't, then people don't realize what's really happening and what we're going through.
I yes, I couldn't agree more. And I think I think one of the reasons I do it, I can't believe it's taken 290 episodes to get to this, but uh, our childhood shapes us, whether we want to accept that or not. Like whether it's childhood trauma, childhood success, our childhood, whether we're conditioned by our parents, like those actions, decision points, how we react emotionally, mentally, etc. A lot of that is shaped by how we we're raised and how we solve problems at an early age. Just because you're an adult doesn't mean you've changed your ways. And I say this a lot, and I've learned this in leadership, is especially dealing with personnel things, whether it's, truly whether it's at work or whether it's in the real world, people's behaviors typically are have worked for them in the past, and that's why they continue those behaviors. And a lot of the behaviors that you see, and where I'm going with this is my own, but a lot of those behaviors that you see is something that they've, how do I say this? They've successfully used, I don't know if that's the right word, used or got away with. And so,
I wouldn't say got away with. It's
yeah,
just kind of it, it's part of the human experience where you just get used to it. You know what I mean?
it's your normal.
And yeah, and it's not that, somebody, I mean, obviously there are behaviors that are not good out in the world, but like I think sometimes it's hard to see somebody else's perspective when you've been doing it for so long and nobody's called you out, maybe?
Yeah. Or you've gotten what you wanted from it. And so,
Yeah.
where I'm going with this for me, and kind of explaining my why that I am so comfortable with being controversial or outspoken in that aspect is, man, as a kid, like I don't look, let me preface this by saying my trauma and my experience um, does not diminish anybody else's trauma. My trauma is not better, it's not worse. Bob Marley once said, "Every man thinks his burden is the heaviest." Heaviest. That's how he does it in his song. Just putting that out there. Go listen to it. Um, uh, anyway, but my point of that is like as a kid, I we moved around a lot, and I've been in that pattern my whole life, unfortunately. And moving around a lot, I was always the new kid in school, right? Always had to like come into groups that were already established, whether they were friends from kindergarten or played with the same family groups or were on the same sports teams or whatever. I was always that oddball, that new kid trying to come in and get acceptance. And I think I learned early, not that it was good behavior, but the how do I win this crowd over? Why was by being different, like being somebody that, wasn't their norm. And it backfired in a lot of ways, and it still does to this day. And I'm aware of that, but I'm looking looking forward to like trying to balance being the new kid with kind of like coming at it from a tactful perspective. And that's why, like, I didn't jump onto this idea of, being vocal about the no kill terminology because I wanted to be like accepted in this industry. But I think because I knew that that's worked for me in the past, that was an easy kind of low hanging fruit for me was was looking at it more practical versus emotional. And I just started kind of seeing that, okay, there are other people that felt the same way. So it was easy to kind of defend against the practical side versus the emotional side, because the other option would have been just don't even like there's no point of even talking about it. Like, why do I even need to talk about it? What's my place to talk about it? And I think I was trying to create or win people over like I've done so many times in the past as a child, now as someone in the profession, that okay, this was low hanging fruit. Maybe I can, feel accepted in a group that I hadn't been before. So that's kind of my backstory there.
Well, let's talk about that. I think this would be a good episode to talk about, whether you need to move departments or you're just kind of feeling outside the scope, or you have somebody that's moved into the department and they are not willing to learn, or do things differently. I think one thing that I had not experienced until I moved up here was a leader saying, or me asking the question, like, why are we doing things like this? And I get the answer of, well, because I said so. I am the huge purveyor of knowledge is infinite. We can always learn things from people. I love having such a diverse group of individuals who work with me at the department because they can see outside the box. And, our assistant supervisor, again, I kudos her all the time. She's absolutely amazing. Like, I was so lucky to have her. I don't think I could be in my position without her. And I tell her all the time because the previous supervisor did not see that, and I see it. I absolutely see it. I see everybody's worth, but I see her worth in particular. And I hope, if she ever listens to this episode, that she knows, because I tell her all the time and she's like, stop, or she gets mad at me because I just nominated her for something.
Let's
She
go.
she knows. She
Okay.
knows, but she was very upset with me.
Will it be something that I might be able to see in a couple months?
I hope so.
All right, cool.
Yeah, if you go down.
I'll be
Yeah.
down. Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, so I'm really hoping that she does get it because she deserves it. But again, back to it's hard to come into a place that's so solidified in doing what they do and not willing to try to improve or do things differently. And, I think for you, having that movement all the time and having to almost, I wouldn't say prove, but just, being wanting to be a part of a group can be really hard. Because everybody, it's just humankind to want to relate to everybody. And, even if it's a controversial way of relating, it can be still hard and put you in those patterns and hard to change. Um, and I noticed that too when I moved up. I was a little hesitant about going into another municipal shelter because, again, we all know the dog pounds that are just very much the dog pound, and they don't like
Hmm.
to change and they don't like to do different things. So it was a learning experience, but again, I think the approach should always be, hey man, I'm just here to help. And if we can do things differently to help us improve what we're doing for whatever job you have, I think it's worth having a conversation for.
Yeah, and look, I'm grateful that every day I get to go to work at a place where I feel like it's my truly like my life's work. Like it's a dream come true, and sometimes I
Isn't it
pinch
amazing?
it is. And sometimes I pinch myself like how did did I, and not to like dig all the way deep into my past, but like from you know, the challenges that I've had to overcome from a child to now, like to get to this point, I'm just so grateful and feel so blessed in that aspect of being able to do something that I love. Like I couldn't imagine. There's days where I think that I'm like, if I wasn't here, I'd still be in the hood. I'd probably have a 40. For those of you that don't know what a 40 is, hold on, these kids are listening. A 40 is a beer, but it's a 40 ounce of beer.
Nikki's.
It's a 40 ounce of beer. Not that I wasn't an alcoholic. That's not what I mean by that. I mean, like, I would just be like, I have nothing to do. So I'm going to drink a 40, play video games, probably smoke a blunt. Like, that was me when I was 16. And my point is, 30 years ago, I never thought that I would be in a place where I could be professional and like have ideas to help basically make a community better for animals and people. Like that just is such a rewarding and humbling kind of situation to be in. And so, though, look, people, here's the problem that I face is people sometimes take my reactions to things, comments, etc., personal when they're not intended to be that. And a therapist, I talk about therapy all the time. I think therapy is, man, if I could be addicted to anything in life, it would be therapy, real talk. Like that stuff, having somebody that is trained and able to give guidance like that, oh, it priceless. It is priceless. And so one of my therapists told me years ago is I struggle with my intent not meeting the impact or the impact not meeting the intent. And so what tends to
Mhm.
happen is my intent is one thing, but the impact that it has, the way that people perceive it or the way that it was delivered by me, I'm not making excuses here, by me, that impact now hits different than what the intent was. And man, I struggle with that every day because I want to make sure like I try now to really focus on like and you get this too. I think you as a leader totally get this. Like obviously it's important on the work product that we get out of staff. But I actually care more about you as a human, I do, than you as an employee. And that may sound counterproductive or weird. And some employees don't like that. They don't want to share and that's fine. I'll never push anybody to do that. But I'd rather know that you're good with your family and your life because then I know that we have the best version of you. Because if things are not great there, how are you going to be able to focus?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think again too, that the balance that we all have to understand as well is, let's be honest, for me, I am addicted to my job and my work. I am on it 24/7. It's not healthy. I know that. Nobody has to tell me that. I realize that.
Hey, that's not
But that
healthy.
is
Real, just
it,
saying that.
no, for sure. But it is my life's work. I again, like you said, I wake up every day and I'm like, how did I get here? Like, what did I do to deserve not only the amazing people that I work with, but also the amazing people that I've met, including my husband, because, that is how I met my husband, too, through work.
Hmm.
And I think it's important for all of us to take a step back and realize, and what I hope I get across in my leadership is that I understand that people don't don't see their day-to-day job like I see it. And I think it's important as a leader that you realize that. Um, and it's not necessarily that they don't care as much as you do,
Mm.
but some people just have life stacked better than you do sometimes. And I'm envious of those people. I absolutely am, but I also grew up in a way that, work was important. Also, me being a minority also changes things a little bit in how I conduct myself in the
Mm.
world because of prejudiceness and just other things, just because of the color of my skin. Um,
Though you really on YouTube look whiter than me right now. I don't know what you're talking about, girl.
hey, since I moved up here, I'm probably the same color as my husband, to be honest. And for those of you who don't know, my husband is Caucasian and I am Hispanic from the deep southern of Texas, next to the Mexican border. But I think it's important for us to realize that not all of us, operate the same. And in that, it changes the way you lead. And a lot of people don't understand that. And a lot of people might not agree with the way I lead. But the biggest thing for me and what I see compared to like other departments, well, somebody might be written up for a certain thing. I wouldn't write somebody up because I know what we're going through on a daily basis. I see the struggle that we all have in not wanting to scream at somebody who's not understanding what you're trying to tell them and they're just being angry at you because it's a human experience that they've never had before. So I like I try to treat everybody as humanly as possible because at the end of the day, it's almost like nitpicking. Like, yeah, if somebody forgot this small little thing when they brought in an animal and it happened several times, yeah, but is it worth the detriment of a write up for something so small like that?
Yeah, I think it's hard to balance like how do you balance the human experience versus the expectations at employment like that
It's
like
hard.
because think about it, whether you go through life with an idea of the job that you want to do, or you go to college to get a degree to do a job that you want to do, all that is fueled by personal ego in some way, right? And
Absolutely.
then you get into the work life, and work is supposed to be separate. Everything about work is supposed to be separate from everything you know about as a personal. But you can't. You would never have gotten to your workplace if you didn't have your personal experiences. And so it's a hard balance. And so one of the things for me that I forget sometimes is like, yeah, we're allowed to be human. Like we're allowed to be human to the point where it's not going to threaten anybody physically or emotionally, right? Like that's,
It's not illegal, immoral.
yeah.
Is what I always tell staff, when they get caught up in, well, this person didn't put the bottle where it needed to go.
Mm,
And he's done it like 10 times. And I'm like, is it really that serious?
right, right, right. What's interesting too is like having like we haven't had a episode like this before where we've really been vulnerable. And it makes me uncomfortable, not from the vulnerability piece, but like I know there's probably people that are listening to this that if they could, they would use it in a way that would be negative, and that's not what it's designed to do. Like I want people to know I'm a human too. Like I'm not here to hurt anybody. My again, I, like I love the work that I do. I love where I'm at, and I want to continue to
And you're
help.
good at it.
Well, thank you, but I want to continue to help people, help animals. You really are my number one like cheerleader. Is that the right thing to
Your advocate.
advocate? She be pumping me up, bro. What do they say? Putting air under my wings. Uh, no, I do. I love the job. Like, and I want people to know I'm human. Like, and nothing's going to be perfect. But I'm going to do my best to continue to do, to help people help animals. Like I sit on that phrase because it sounds so right to say. Um, Also,
Absolutely.
going back to your new shelter build, just really quick. I just have this vision, and maybe one day I'll be as grateful as you. I don't know how. I'd have to be like, it'll be like 60 years from now, but
Shut up.
um, no, like I would love to influence an architect to build a shelter that would be either just vision this, like take a half circle or a whole
Mm-hmm.
circle and then make a small entryway for the parking lot. So the parking lot's inside that half circle or whole circle.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole reason of doing that is so all the administrative windows, whether it's the counselor, that's not the word I was looking for, the adoption counter, whether it's like if you have it split up where you have redemptions, whatever. But every every administrative building, office building, what am I trying to say? Every administrative window in the building, whether it's the break room for the kennel techs or where the animal control officers sit, all the windows face the parking lot because I feel like we never get to see those moments where are coming to reclaim their pet or adopt a new pet and they are at their most vulnerable stage and they are jumping up and down at their car, taking a bunch of photos, petting the dog, peeking in the little box for the cat. Like you can see them in their truest form, and we need to be reminded of that because we get lost in the minutia of the day to day, and we forget that like we're affecting lives. And I had someone tell me recently where there was a situation. It was just a horrible situation. Somebody came to reclaim the pet for somebody that was no longer with us, and they had a really just human experience with them, and they said that like it was just one of the hardest reclaims that they ever had to do, and that person hugged them so tightly after after they brought the dog out whatever, and like that's the type of stuff that makes us remember why we do the job is because like we really can impact people for the better. And I don't look, animal control, the dog catcher has always been the villain in the movies. And I know I come from that world of the dog catcher, animal control, but I'm done being the villain. Like, I think I just want to find ways to be part of our community and continue to see us grow. Like, I'd love, we didn't even bring her name up yet, like with Jane Goodall passing, but
Mm-hmm.
I love what she brought to the animal welfare community, and not
Mm-hmm.
saying my name will ever be, trust me, it'll never be in the same sentence. That's not what I brought that up for. But I brought it up because when you think about her, you just think about how compassionate she was and everything that she did to help just move the animal welfare industry forward. And that is what's important. It should be important to all of us. It's not about anything else to me. It's about that.
Absolutely. It's funny that you bring her up, because the other day I saw this AI photo of her and Steve Irwin like
Oh,
meeting
yeah.
up in the heavens, and it just like it hurt my heart so much, because those are the individuals that we look up to, because they're really the starters of this modernized animal welfare. In my opinion, I will always me is so
Sorry,
handsome.
I had to bring him up here.
I know he's so handsome. I keep hearing him ruff
I
ruff
know
in the
he's
back.
a good boy. Sorry, but
He is a
no,
good boy.
they are
Yeah,
some
they're
of our.
staples. Yeah, they're staples in our industry. And, it's unfortunate, Steve Irwin's passing was unfortunately, kind of is very tragic.
Very.
Very, very tragic. And, it's sad to see that Jane Goodall, on her mission, she was on her mission still. She was out about to do, more talks and things like that. And she passed away in her sleep is what I read allegedly.
And
Um,
what a life for her though. Like
yeah.
she lived a long, prosperous, and she will live forever. Like she is somebody that will always have a name synonymous to animal welfare.
Absolutely. And it's good to have people like to strive to be like that. And again, I think the biggest thing that I take away from, my career is, I am not perfect. I make mistakes. I ensure that our staff understands that if I do something wrong, call me out. I'm not going to be
Mm-hmm.
mad at it,
Mm-mm.
because I am just like you. I can make a mistake, and I go to them too for different things like, "Hey man, how should I word this email?" I haven't dealt with this kind of situation before. I take it in stride when people, I've been told several times in my career, not just up here, well, how am I supposed to be like you? And I'm like, you're not. You're not supposed to be like me. You're
Yeah.
supposed to be like you.
Mhm.
And while I'm grateful for that, at the end of the day, we all have our strengths, and it's important that we all bring that to the table. And while it's great to strive to be like somebody, at the same time, we all bring something special to our agencies,
Absolutely.
and always remember that.
That's beautiful because it's so true. And I think that's the reality is we have to be able to blend that personal experience with that professional experience, as we were talking about a little bit ago. And I love the fact that you say like you're a coachable manager. Like there's a phrase that I learned several years ago where like we can manage down because that's what's expected for managers, but it's also important to be able to manage up. And so for staff to be able to say things, and I had that experience just recently. I probably make a mistake every single day. Like that's the nature of life.
Hmm.
And I'll never shy away from that. But I'm always open to having those discussions and owning it and saying like, hey, that's on me. Let's move
Hmm.
forward. Here's how we move forward the best way. So, man, it's a tough life that we live in some aspects. Like it's only tough in the aspects of like I think because we want better. Um,
The
and
human experience is just tough in general. And then you add the weight of what we're trying to do for the voiceless, I think just makes it 100 times harder.
yeah, and we were going to talk about rabies today. Like, and then organically, we just started talking about life in our roles and just being vulnerable, and like that's important. I think we sometimes forget that we're allowed to be human and we're allowed to make mistakes and we're allowed to learn and continue to grow. Like that's what motivates me in some aspects is how do I get better every day? How do I be the best version of myself for whether it's my children, whether it's the staff that I work with, whether it's the support that I get, my supervisors, the community. Like I just want to be the best version of myself, and it's hard because, like I said, sometimes I think we all do this. We react with our same ingrained
Passion.
well that, but our same ingrained behaviors that may not have been always great
Mm-hmm.
for us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm still working on ways to be more conscious of that so I can be a better version of myself.
The human experience is always evolving. And if you in your life have gotten to a point where you think you can't learn or be better, you need to look in the mirror, folks, because nobody's perfect. Nobody will ever be perfect. Um, it's an important aspect of reality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Whew, that's a deep show. Thank you for tuning into this therapy session brought to you by Tomahawk Live Trap. Uh, yeah, I just saw some of their old traps, and
Mhm.
they look brand new. They were functioning like they're brand new, and I'm thinking those things were from the early '90s. I was like, wow, like talking about craftsmanship, and I'm not just saying that because they sponsored the show, people. Like I'm just saying that just generally. I was like, wow, like these things are made to last. They really, really are.
I'm super excited, man, because again, they're on my list of hopefully gonna spend lots of money. We're needing some new dog traps because the ones we have are probably from the 80s. And we need some new ones, folks. So we're with it's probably gonna be our next purchase. We're about to clean out a lot of our, all of us never have enough space in our shelters. Even if you build new, I'm sure you fill it up and you're like, I still don't have enough space. Well, we have two giant connexes in the back of our property where we store all of our dog traps, all of our like extra like kennels and airplane crates and
Mm.
all that stuff. So we're about to go through all of that stuff here in the cooler months so that we can prepare for our new stuff.
Speaking of cooler months, man, I got up this morning
I
and
hate you. Don't even say it. I don't care.
it was like
I hate
58
you.
and I was
I
cold.
I hate you. What is it right now? Let me see. Hold on. I'm not gonna even say it. I hate you.
What is
It's 80 degrees right now and it's 10:30. I
nah,
hate you.
nah, I'm not about that. I'm glad Wisconsin Bishop's not on because it'd probably be like 30.
She's probably seeing snow already for all we know.
Probably, I'm telling you, it's not far-fetched. It's October now. Snow is
I
right
know.
there.
She's got weird weather, man. I don't know how she does it.
Mm-mm. That's why she was out there on that apple farm because they're about to turn to ice. She's gonna be bobbing for icicles. I'm gonna sneeze, I think. That's for the delay. Hold on. Okay, sneezed, muted. You're welcome, listeners. All right, that's all we got today. We really appreciate you tuning in to this unscripted, totally like unintentional, vulnerable episode. I hope I hope it just gives you some insight. And if you have questions, reach out to the show, podcast at Keep It Humane. If you got topics you want us to cover, podcast at Keep It Humane. We'll get to rabies one day. Sorry, we didn't get to that today. And let's continue to help people.
Help animals.
Keep it humane.
Give it me.